We're very pleased to have with us right now Bill Macek, incumbent city councilor running for another term. Welcome to the program, Bill.
Thank you, Frank.
Now, just so that we understand from a standpoint of new math, you are an incumbent city councilor, but you were a city councilor earlier on in the early days. You took some time off, then you came back as a challenger, regained a seat on the city council, correct, and cumulatively speaking, let's say, how many terms have you been on?
I've done 8 total terms, 16 years. I was on 84 to 92, took 12 years off, family and my kids growing up, and then when my oldest son went to college, I graduated college, my youngest son went to college, I asked my wife if she minded if I went back into local politics and threw my hat in the ring for city council. She said, sure, go ahead. And here I am. I won my seat back, and I've been on for 4 terms. So I have that historic perspective from the 80s of understanding the way things were then, and I also understand the way things are now. It's quite different, but I enjoy serving, and I really love my city.
You know, can I ask you this? And most recently, because a lot of times people take a look at what the accomplishments are that you'd like to go ahead and point to, that you'd like to become a part of. You know, no person can do it all of themselves. That's why you're part of a body in the Haverhill City Council. But are there any things, before we get to some of the compelling things that you'd like to see as goals that you'd like to see the city meet, let's say during the upcoming term, if you're successful to be reelected in your seat in November, before we get to what some of those compelling things are and goals that you may have for the next term, what can you point to, let's say, in the past couple of years that you're very proud of, that you'd like the city to know about, that you had an association with?
Well, I think that what I do best is constituent services and working with different issues and going in depth and doing my homework. So I don't really have a list that I want to lay out, okay, but I think that one of the things that I did work on very aggressively was the NEO plant on Upper Hilldale Avenue. And as of yesterday, coming from Representative Dempsey's office.
Could you describe the NEO plant? Because a lot of people may just not understand that. It was a very interesting thing having to do with, people may understand it's sort of it was built as a recycling plant, but it's different from what you'd consider.
Anaerobic digestion
right,
of food garbage is what it was turning out to be. It would have been a prototype. I don't want to have a prototype in Haverhill. They always learn from prototypes, and it was a bad siting, and there were many issues that came with it. And we don't have enough time to really get in depth. I could do the full 10 minutes on that if we chose to, but I don't want to do that. But I will say that we got word yesterday they are withdrawing their application from the Hilldale Avenue site, which is great news. And I think I want to also say it was the neighborhood that got together that I was able to be part of and work with, that we were able to get them to rethink their idea of going to Upper Hilldale Avenue, which is really a good thing for the city of Haverhill.
So, suffice it to say that while you're part of the city, you're part of the administration or part of the Haverhill City Council, which means that you'd like to have things come into the city to the betterment of the city, and people would always like to have new businesses come into the city, but you're of a mind that you're saying you'd like to have businesses come into the city, but not any and all businesses. You'd like to go ahead and have the right businesses.
Well, I think that's why we have zoning. It's why we have the rules and regs that we have, but also that wasn't bringing in business. Jobs. It was a business coming to the city with 4 jobs is what they were projecting, and also it brought a lot of other negative aspects that we really didn't want to see in that area.
You know, can I ask you, since the last time you happened to run for city council, the state of Massachusetts has gone through their revision and increase what the sales tax happens to be from 5% to 6.25%. Being a border community, that's always affected us adversely from a retail standpoint, from the retail trade. Do you think that that's created a greater degree of adversity with the increase in that, or is it something that,
Not at all.
that we have to live with?
Not at all. Actually, that was a tough vote for me, one of the toughest ones I've had in the last couple of years, because I'm not a tax and spend guy. I'm an anti-fee, anti-tax, and especially in this kind of a economy we're living in. I will tell you that I heard from hundreds of people probably that contacted me or that I ran into while it was a topic, that they wanted that tax, and 9 out of 10 people wanted it because the money was staying local. That's what I used to hear. Support that. The money is staying local. We need the money. And that's what's happened. About $600,000 a year is returning to our coffers after it's collected by the state. They send it right back to Haverhill, and we get to utilize that money locally. New Hampshire has a 9% food tax. We have a 7% food tax. You're still 2% better reading in Haverhill. I want to turn Haverhill, and it is becoming a destination restaurant community. We have that going for us, and that 7% is not going to discourage anybody, because it's at minimum 6 0.25 every place else in Massachusetts. Haverhill goes to 7, but the money helps downtown, it helps the city, it helps everything, education across the board. It's $600,000.
So actually, the more research you do and the greater details you happen to delve into shows that from a general standpoint, that increase in the sales tax didn't hurt so much as it actually helped.
We increased the meals tax, not the sales tax. So I think that's the dividing line, is that we only increased the meals tax.
Okay. But what I'm talking about is a compelling factor given the fact that we are a border community. You know, we're talking about retail circumstances and retail issues. It's kind of an interesting dynamic that we discussed with one of the previous council candidates, and that is that if you look at the state of Maine versus New Hampshire, and you're looking at Kittery, Maine being exactly 1 mile off the exit from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Both of them have large shopping centers, and Kittery, Maine is phenomenally successful, although they do have very high sales tax, higher than even the state of Massachusetts,
right.
Yet they're able to do very, very well. And is it because of how they project themselves, how they market themselves, being an outlet type of a community, and people figure that even if they go up there and they're going to be paying a sales tax, because it's an outlet, they're still going to get a better bargain, so it's worth it?
That's probably what it is. I haven't really looked into that and researched or thought about it much, but it probably is marketing. And I think Haverhill has done an okay job. We can do a better job of marketing, especially our resources, our outlying areas. I was just at the Whittier birthplace dedication for the new Poets Bridge this morning. And I want to tell you, the information that was there, the people that were there, it was just fantastic. Haverhill has so much going for it, and especially its people. I've always said the best thing about Haverhill is its people. I love to serve them. I hope to be able to continue to do that. But it's the resources out there in human thought process and getting out what we have. Whittier's birthplace draws from across the country. There's a Whittier, California, and people from Whittier, California come here to see Whittier's birthplace.
You know, we're talking about that particular aspect, and we've got less than a couple of minutes left, but we're talking about public relations. When it comes to public relations, there are some major corporations, companies, large and small, that sometimes have somebody in charge of public relations. If that's the case, and if you were to have that type of a parallel, who is responsible for public relations in the city of Haverhill?
We really don't have anybody that holds the title. I think we have the Chamber of Commerce, we have other groups, but as far as an actual real department or person within City Hall, I think we might want to see that we get somebody that's a little bit in charge or make some more inroads to getting the word out about Haverhill. We should be doing that, and it's something that I'll definitely speak to the mayor about. It's an administrative action that we should be looking into.
Councilor Macek, with less than a minute left, can you give us an indication of what you think a future goal is that you'd like to see implemented if you're voted in for the next term in the upcoming November elections? Well,
one of the things I really care about is quality of life in the city and also education. Those are two of the things that I'm always looking for, so that people in Haverhill, one, feel safe and also have the resources to have a quality of life, and then also that our education is also good for the children, and why people will continue to come here and stay here. And we're also affordable, and I want to make sure that we keep it as affordable as possible. I really like to serve. I love to do constituent services. I love to dig in and do that extra drilling down to know what I'm talking about before I open my mouth. It's one of the things I think I bring to the table, and I hope that the people will support my efforts to be reelected again to serve the Haverhill City Council. It has been really a pleasure, but also it's been something that I am very thankful for, and I look forward to the opportunity of continuing on the Haverhill City Council. And thank you for your time, Frank.
Thank you very much. Bill Macek, running for re-election to the Haverhill City Council. We'll be back with more. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Frank.